there would be conversations that we would have with God, but I found him today to be the comforter, not that he just completely takes the pain away, but that he will sit and rub your back through it.
Well, we are Tim and Aniya Ryan, and I've been a part of Mt.Gilead for actually 10 years now. And then we started dating, I guess, back in 2019. And then you would have, I guess, joined the ministry in 2021.
Yep, 2021, right after we got married. About 9 months after we got married, we unexpectedly got pregnant with our first baby, which we were very, very excited about. We weren't trying, so it was just a total gift from God, and had a wonderful pregnancy. One of the best. We actually had planned for the same midwife that had birthed Tim to birth our baby. She'd birthed many of our nieces and nephews, and so it was a very, very fun pregnancy. It was a long pregnancy. I went all the way to 42 weeks, and so if any mom has been pregnant, then she knows that right around that time you're very ready for baby to come. And we had a lot of expectation. Nursery was set, everything was in place. Actually had 4 baby showers, a lot of family very much and friends anticipating this baby, and we were planning for a very natural pregnancy and birth. And the night before we did give birth, we had a great evening with our midwife. We checked on the baby. Baby's heart rate is great. And the next day we went in. I'd had contractions through that evening, and later on in the day we went in to see her, and the check was going well. Very, very normal. Baby's heart rate was going great, and she moved me into a specific position because she wanted to get one more check before we left. And baby's heart rate began to drop very quickly, and she looked at us and said, this could be something or it could be nothing, and let's pretend like it's something. And so we rushed into the hospital. It was about 5 minutes from her office, and they checked the baby. The baby was still alive. Heartbeat was faint, and they moved forward with an emergency C-section. And at that time, I had about 5 minutes before I was completely knocked out, unconscious through the whole process. And I just remember praying in the Spirit because that's all I knew to do in that moment. And I guess for me, that's when things very literally got blurry, but they performed the emergency C-section, and our son, Aniya Ryan, was born without a heartbeat.
It was actually like a really special moment when they actually completed the C-section, and they brought, Timothy, to me, and they put me in a room with him. Aniya was still on anesthesia, so she wasn't awake yet. And just getting to hold this little guy, And he looked just like Aniya at that moment. I had the same sense of pride of being a father, as if he was alive. Like I wanted to take pictures with him and hold him. And then the hardest part was having to then go face Aniya and tell her the news that he was with Jesus. Probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I think we even watched the service that Sunday from the hospital, and we're just at that point just grasping for anything that we could to just have hope for the future. At that point, we were able to go back to church. I think we went back pretty fast, maybe the second week afterwards.
We went back quickly because we knew that our faith would be the lifeline that we needed. And what was powerful about the Sunday that we attended church again, it was actually baby dedication Sunday. And initially, that brings like almost a sting into your heart, is what the enemy wants. But we just held on to that as just a little God wink that we would be there one day and that he saw us through it. And so talking to some of the different ministers and elders, they encouraged us to go and speak with Bishop after service and really share with him what we'd walk through. And so we did do that. And I think one of the most powerful statements that he made to us was, just try again. And it was the first moment, I believe, that anyone had given us permission to just go forwards and to not sit in the season that we were in, but know that God had greater for us. And so we received those words of just try again. And so that's what we did. And he said, try again. And when you get pregnant again, come up here every single trimester and I'll pray over the baby. We got pregnant 3 months after the loss of our first son, which was just an incredible victory. And what was powerful is during that season, there was only 3 months. And I mean, there's stories of people having a longer season of waiting. So we were very grateful for that. But during that season, our nursery that was empty at this point, fully prepared with no baby, became very much so like a prayer room for us. Around that time, the enemy tries to throw fear at you, and I'd reached out to have a call with co-pastor. One of the most powerful things she shared with me is that you can have your emotions, but don't let your emotions have you. It was a moment of reflection of these emotions that I'm feeling are very real. And they're great indicators, but they're terrible dictators for how we should flow and how we should operate in this season. We can't stop. We can't live in fear. That conversation with her brought me so much encouragement and peace of knowing that there would be a healing process. Early on, we didn't know that we were having another boy, but we did a gender reveal later on in the pregnancy and got the news that we were having a baby boy. And it was just that moment of resting in the fact that he truly is the God of second chances. I gave birth to Timothy Sean Ryan II on March the 5th, 2024. Walking through what we have has really given us another perspective of just how much of a miracle life is, and knowing that for us to continue to go further, just following those tracks that Bishop and co-pastor have laid out for us in our finances, in our marriage, in the way that we raise our son today, and the environments that we put him in. They've been that model to follow, and we're excited of continuing to build that into our family as it keeps growing, because we're expecting another baby. We'll have a little girl coming in September, which we're very excited about, and just know that our family's life is such a reflection of plugging into the ministry at the highest level, whether we were on a mountaintop or in a valley, that his word was still true and that the model was still proven successful.
That's one thing, Bishop and co-pastor, we can never thank you enough, is for supporting us in that season and mixing your faith with our faith and allowing us to walk in the victory tracks that you laid. It made all the difference.